Well, I'm Connon Littlefield. I'm here with my father, Thomas Littlefield, and we're at Roane County High School. This is May the 5th, May the 3rd, 2024. So, Dad, let's start at the beginning. Tell me where you were born and raised and something about your family.
Oh, well, I was actually born in Oak Ridge Hospital, but that was because the house in Kingston had not been quite finished. So I came here when I was probably 3 to 6 months old. And my father had been drafted in the Army he was a chemical engineer, just graduated from MIT, and he had got drafted into the secret city, the Oak Ridge Project, the Manhattan Project. And so he moved down here, and he met my mother, who worked there also, and then they moved to Kingston, and we all three of the kids grew up there. My older brother and sister, were in Oak Ridge for a year or so, or two, well, probably 3 total. In any event, that's how we ended up here. He had an interesting story he talked about when he went to Oak Ridge. Of course, it's a secret. Nobody knew why they were there, and he'd go, "Oh, there's my professor. Oh, there's my guy in my class. Oh, there's a graduate student I knew." So he knew something was up, but of course didn't know what. But he came down here and loved East Tennessee and stayed, fortunately for us.
And so what year was that he started working on the Manhattan Project?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's during World War II, so 42, 43, I don't really know the exact date that he came down here. But he got drafted and came to serve.
So so they were here already, and then you were born in 1953, is that correct?
Right, yeah, Oak Ridge Hospital.
Okay. And you said you had 2 siblings?
Yeah, Connie and Dan.
And they also graduated here?
Yeah, they're 3, Connie's 4 years and my brother's 3 years older than me.
So do you know what year they graduated here?
Well, it'd be 71 minus 3, so 68, 68 and 67, I believe.
Okay. And you went to school here too?
Oh, yes. I graduated in 71.
Which was, how many years ago was that?
I'm going to have to continue to math class. It's over 50. It's 53 now, I guess, 53. Count this year.
Would you say that this school's been around a while?
Yes, it has.
All right.
In fact, this is the same building, except part of the high school is now I was in the Kingston Elementary School that was here, not where it is currently. And then I went to junior high, the 7th and 8th grade under Miss Hobgood, which is what we call the Alamo. It actually looked like the Alamo from as old as it was, and it's been flattened, and it's now the band field. So things have changed and grown. The Roane County High School has grown, but it's same building, same gym that everybody plays in is what I played in. So it's the same building.
Nice. So how was your experience here at Roane County High School? Because I'm sure it's definitely different from mine, 50 years after yours. So how was that?
I don't know. My experience was great. I had great classmates, incredible teachers. I can credit the teachers here, Mr. Kring, who went and taught at Roane State, and Barry Stevenson, who left, I guess, my sophomore year or something. Both of them gave me hardcore science. So when I hit UTK, I did well. I did A's in chemistry and biology, and was well prepared from going to school here. The other big thing, I was in the high school band under Gerald Ross. We had a huge band. I don't remember the exact number, maybe 220 marching band.
Wow.
But went to the Cherry Blossom Festival. So the high school experience was really good. There's lots of great teachers. Miss Wassam was one of them. Beta Club. I was in the Beta Club president my last year. So it was a very good experience. The teachers were very good. Katie Banker. My last day of school here, I remember very well. It was English, and I was never that good at English. I was okay at science. And I was the last one in the class on the very last day, and everybody was gone, and she waited in there patiently, and I was probably 30 minutes late finishing up, but she didn't care, said take your time, and just was an incredible person as well as teacher. So.
That's cool. I didn't know that. It's kind of like the same thing for me. I took my math final, was it 2 days ago, and I was the last one in the class by like 15, 20 minutes. And so I guess like father, like son.
Yeah, this is a really good school. Academically, prepared me. I went to medical school and did a fellowship in pulmonary critical care, and then went into primary care after about 13 years of being up all night in the main 4 hospitals in Knoxville at the time, and then did primary care in Farragut. Joined a group out there. So it prepared me very well. And the science, those 2 science guys got me well on the road when I hit Knoxville.
That's cool. Don't you always say something about grades as far as keeping your grades up to be able to go to school? What exactly was that?
Well, the grades, this is my philosophy. One of my best friends, who I won't give his name, he wanted to be a physician. He had a higher IQ, and he started having a lot more fun at UT Knoxville than I did, and he never went into medical school, though he certainly was smart enough. But the grades I kept up. In fact, grades were a reason I went into medicine. I was going to do probably between a PhD in microbiology or go to medical school, and I hit the 3rd quarter of calculus, and I got into that class and went, I don't know any of this stuff. I don't know how I got through with a couple of A's and B's, maybe A, B, A. For calculus, I said, if I take this, it's going to wreck my GPA. I think I'll go to medical school. So, I had no idea what I wanted to do in high school, and I don't really think there's a big push for students to know what they want to do. And I don't know if something's changed academically, but I don't agree with that. I say go to college and take a bunch of stuff, take what you have to get your grades and your degree. But you got to keep your grades up. If you keep your grades up, nobody else behind a desk can tell you what to do with your life. So my son's laughing because I've told him this all his life. Even if it's in business or whatever, if it's down between you and another student and you have better grades and everything else is equal, they're going to take the higher graded student. It shows you are smart, but also shows that you like to work hard. So it's up to you, not up to somebody else behind a desk say, no, you can't do this with your life. So.
Yeah, well, as far as grades go, how do you think Roane County High School has benefited you, and I guess the city of Kingston? How has that benefited you towards your successes in life, as far as from a early age to I guess when you graduated when you were 18?
17.
17.
But basically, as I just said, the high school prepared me very well, and the city of Kingston, tight-knit group, lots of things, a lot of sports activities. And really was a great place to raise a family, and I'm glad I've moved back after my work in Knoxville as a physician. So it's really an incredible place. My high school classmates were highly successful. Austin Clark played for University of Tennessee basketball during the Ernie and Bernie era, and that is remarkable to get a scholarship athlete to University of Tennessee under Ray Mears. Bob Brooksbank is an oral surgeon in Cookeville. I think he just recently retired. Dan Bell was a career Navy person and works in the private sector now. And just several people. Rob Parker, a doctor of optometry.
And these were all your classmates, right?
These are all people in my class I grew up with, played with, called Woodhaven, Dogwood Drive here in Kingston, right across from the hotel and Don Ed's now. There's a road right there around the lake. So it's beautiful.
So, I mean, I know that you had your doctor as a child was Dr. Nat Sugarman. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm,
and
yes.
his name's on our football field now. But
correct.
Do you remember much about him, or can you tell me a little bit about him? I want to know a little bit about him.
About Dr. Sugarman?
Yeah.
Well, I was young. Of course, he was here through high school, but I just saw him as a patient, so I didn't really have a personal relationship with him or my parents. But he was a typical, in my opinion, country doctor, small town doctor, knew everybody, somewhat gruff in his demeanor as far as from the kid point of view. But like I said, I didn't know him on a personal basis. But incredibly dedicated and worked hard for this city. There was Dr. Hoffmeister, too, who set my elbow and I broke it once playing with Frank Parker, jumping through a hula hoop and dislocated it. And Rachel and Babe Parker, they were stalwarts of Kingston. Babe Parker was, I think, it may not be totally correct, but maybe only 3 banks that stayed open during the Great Depression, and then Rachel, of course, followed for many years afterwards and worked at the Methodist Church, and just good people all around.
Well, that's good. I do want to know a little bit about. We've talked a lot about like school and what you've done after that, which I want to circle back to later. But as far as being in like the town of Kingston, what did you do a lot as a child? Like, did you hang out? Where did you hang out at? What did you do? I know you've told me a little bit about, I guess, playing around, jumping through a hula hoop. But like, what was your what
that
you
wasn't
do?
a smart thing we were doing, but we had fun. Kingston was great. Growing up, before I hit high school, well, even during high school, I grew up in a neighborhood called Woodhaven, and we had 20 to 30 kids. We'd play kick the can, ride bicycles night. It's a single street, dead-end street with lots of great houses and neighborhoods. We had baseball games, basketball games, the Warlicks, and Dan Warlick, who was a lawyer. He's passed away, but was a lawyer in Nashville, and also was in Memphis when Elvis died, and was on that team that investigated that at the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, but anyway, they did a play. The whole point of that, Jenny Warlick, and it's it's just a lot of fun. So we had a great time growing up, and we came on when the one street light we had on our street came on. We were supposed to come inside, and it was a great thing. And then in high school, we had all the sports and everything, but we also had the Bounty restaurant in Midtown, which is no longer there, and there's the people before me have great stories about that on Facebook, growing up in Kingston and Roane County websites, so they're worth looking at and getting in touch with people that are still here and still love this city.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing about that. I do want to know, you said you were in the band, I know that, but you also were on the basketball team, but you were as a manager. Tell me a little bit about that and the story that I've definitely never heard before about your picture for that. That's supposed to be up there in the gym, but I don't think you're in that one. What happened with that?
That's a funny event. I wasn't real happy at the time, but I was on the manager for the basketball team when Austin and Bob Brooksbank and all them, Austin Clark, Bob Brooksbank, were on the team. And
what year was that?
That was 71, of senior year. And I was coming down the steps, or up the steps from the gym, and Frank Parker was coming down the steps. And Frank was the scorekeeper and on the team as well. And he goes, "Where were you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, we just did our team pictures." I said, "You're kidding me." So I missed the boat, like maybe sometimes you do. You miss your football picture, I guess, as sophomore.
I missed one of those for sure. So.
And then what's funny about, what's really interesting, I think, is my sister, who played basketball here, 4 years older than me. Her teams are still up on the walls in the high school gym.
I think
because they won regions, and
she's like the first picture up in the gym. I think if you look walking into the gym from the doors back there, I think it's like first one on the left on the up there
she
on
come
the wall.
In the front, and that was they had great basketball teams, and Skidmore was the men's coach when I was there, but he was the women's coach when he was here coaching for the ladies basketball. That's when they played 3-on-3 for a while, but so she's still around. She was a true athlete. I wasn't, obviously, or I wouldn't have been the manager.
Well, also a little bit more about your time in high school. Did you ever get into trouble around here or at school or elsewhere?
I was a pretty good kid. Basically, the only thing I can think of where I got in trouble was for summer jobs. I was a lifeguard at Roane County Park, and it was we had a great waterfront and well organized. July 4th was the biggest weekend, and we would have actually 7 guards on. We have 2 chairs up. We have 3 guards in between, and one on a floating deck at the other end at the outside rim of the swimming area. It's about 30 feet deep out there. But the only time I got in trouble was when the lifeguards decided to row Glenn King's yard. He was the head water safety instructor and started all these really great lifeguards. We never lost anybody. I pulled out about 140 plus people. They were all little kids usually. They just walk out and the moms would be talking and their eyes would be rolling and the bubbles are coming up. But anyway, we rolled his yard, and the Harriman, I believe it was Harriman Police, he called them, that dog, and and so we got caught and had to sit in the back of the patrol car, and my mom was freaking out, and of course they didn't do anything, but it was, I got a bunch of tick bites, seed ticks, but from lying in a ditch trying to hide it. That's about it. That wasn't real successful, but it was just rolling his yard. He was an incredible person, as people in Roane County know. He did a lot for this county. Got the parks going. Rockwood had my brother lifeguarded at the Rockwood pool and our park, and my sister was at the Roane County Park with me. That was like 6 years. She was ahead of me, so pretty exciting. That's what I did for my summers.
Well, that's cool. I do want to know, so as far as I know that you graduated here, and did you take that summer off, or did you go straight into school?
I went.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I don't know if you've heard this. I think you've heard this story, but I mostly out of ignorance. I graduated high school. I went to college that summer at UT Knoxville. My wonderful sister signed me up to a bunch of courses. I had no idea what I was getting into. And back then, summer school was like 2 quarters. So I had 2 quarters of English, 2 quarters of Western Civ, which was 60 pages a night, and then I believe an English class, I believe. Anyway, so that started off. So I went all the way through, and I took off 1 summer, I think, when I was in college and worked as a lifeguard. But otherwise, I went straight through, and I graduated in December from Roane County High in 71. December of 74, I graduated at UT Knoxville. Wow. Started medical school January of 75, and back then medical school was a 3-year program in Memphis, and we went straight through 3 years, no time off, and then graduated December of 77 medical school. Then January of 78, I started my internship and residency, and then went on into a fellowship in pulmonary critical care. And so I had like maybe a 2 or 3 month break in between that. So I went straight through from high school straight through to going out into practice in my fellowship world.
So and you practiced in Farragut, right?
Well, the primary care was in Farragut. I did 13 years of, I guess you'd call it critical care and pulmonary. So back then there was no hospice, so you were the only one around for ventilators, intensive care, septic shock, lung disease, emphysema, those kind of things. If you were seeing me, you were really actually in trouble, because if we didn't see the easy stuff, and we worked alongside the cardiologists and ran the ventilators for them and took care of the lung problems from that, and very busy. Covered 2 hospitals are now closed, St. Mary's and Baptist, but also we were at UT and at Fort Sanders Regional. So it was a crazy nights driving from one to the other for consults and emergencies. So that's why I finally decided enough's enough.
Yeah. Had
no life.
Well, so you went into practice in Farragut, but to kind of circle back here, what kind of, tell me about what I'm trying to ask is, tell me about why you moved back to Kingston, kind of. Oh. Because I think you had told me once about how Frank wanted you to come back and consider. Tell me a little bit about that, building our house and moving to here.
Well, that's a good story too. That's part of the Kingston connection here. When I moved to Farragut, I had a house in Knoxville city, and so Farragut was a drive, a commute every day. So I wanted to move someplace in West Knoxville, Farragut area, or around, and I called Frank Parker up, who was a very successful banker in Athens, Tennessee, for all those years. He's also retired, and I said, "Do you have any idea about property?" He did a lot of their real estate stuff, and he goes, "Well, I can tell you a couple of people, places, lake lots here and there, but I want you to do me a favor. Matt Caldwell has started developing something in Kingston called Ladd Landing." And he said, "Just promise me you'll go there and look at it before you decide for anything else." So my wife and I, Sarah, we walked out there, and that very first day, walked out with Matt showing us around and went, "This is it. It's exactly what we wanted." She grew up on a little 60-acre farm in West Tennessee, and I grew up here in Kingston. We didn't want to be, in a regular neighborhood with houses right next door where you look out your window to the next. So long story short, we bought that day. We said yes, we were the first to buy, first to build, and it's been incredibly successful. Matt has done a wonderful job, and it's really great coming home to Kingston.
Well, I think that kind of brings us full circle. Although I do want to know, what were you thinking, but what was your thought process in moving me and my sister Emma into the Kingston schools? What was your thought on that? Did you want me to come back because you graduated here, or?
No, we lived here, and I had some professional MDs that had their kids in Webb and in other private schools, and we weighed the pros and cons of going to Webb and traveling and all that, and not having the ability for you to have the hometown, small town experience, but also for you to have friends that you grew up with and played sports with and knew, and for Emma as well. And I knew the close-knit nature of Kingston, a lot of really good people, and I knew this would be the place to do. We talked about it and decided no. I did very well from going here to school, and a lot of what you get out of school is what you put in it, as you've probably heard a million times, and making those grades. But we just said this is the best place. We loved Kingston Elementary School, Cherokee Middle School, and all those things, and then of course the high school. So this is a unique thing, especially in this day and age, to be able to grow up in this city, in this county, this lake, and the beauty. It's just it was the right thing to do to keep you all here and go to school here. So despite other opinions, we knew it was right. We knew what it had done, and she's from a little town called Halls, Tennessee, in West Tennessee. Not Halls Cross Road, but and her town is like 2,500, and she grew up on a farm. So she has lifelong friends there, just like I do here. So a small town, you cannot beat it, and Kingston is growing in the right ways too.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing about life, and I guess your life and your experience for Kingston, and I guess from 53 to. Well, today, 24, really.
That's right.
So,
long time.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in.
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad to be part of this, and this is one incredible place. It really is. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks, Dad. Love you.
I love you too. Bye-bye.